Welcome to Michigan Reimagined, presented by Good Marketing and Waggoner Financial. And here's your host, Chris Buck.
So the professional finance community has embraced technological advancements at an aggressive rate. After all, they're working hard to earn your business and perform for their clients. Here to share how the team at Waggoner Global Advisors leans into Fintech projects are Portfolio Manager Shanzer Khan and software engineers Wyat, Soule, and Chad Hildwein. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Excellent. All right. So for our listeners who don't know, what services does the Waggoner Global Advisors, Waggoner Financial offer, and what geography do you serve?
Yeah, so great question. You actually touched on our geographical focus right in our name, Waggoner Global Advisors.
Right on.
Like we like to call it internally, the GA team. In terms of our services, our focus revolves around three pillars. The three pillars are investments, education, and technology. So investments, we're trying to leverage our RFID system and proprietary investment management systems to really produce excess returns. With technology, we're trying to make sure that we use the cutting edge techniques to really make complex finance simple. With education, we want to make sure that our community is very well aware, our finance is approachable and easy to navigate. So those are our services.
Got it. Okay. And so I've gotten to know the Waggoner team over the last couple of years, and it always seems like there are new faces, on the team. So, you've got the tech team with you today. What's the backstory behind having a tech team, and how does Fintech bake into the Waggoner program?
Absolutely. As far as new faces are concerned, I like to say at Waggoner that growth is more than our motto. It's a part of our DNA. And as far as the tech team is concerned, it goes back a long time. Like pretty much when we started the firm, we had a realization that often tech and finance, they speak entirely different languages. And because of that realization, we thought that, hey, there's a gap here and we need to fill that gap. We found that finance people don't understand the technological complexities and programming, or more recently, large language models. And we found that tech people don't have a good grasp on financial nuances or concepts. So we sought to bridge that gap. And that's why we brought in tech experts like Wyat and Chad on our team to help us bridge and target that gap. And perhaps, Wyat, you want to talk about your story over here?
Yeah, for sure. So about 2.5 years ago, actually, Eric had just messaged me on LinkedIn out of the blue. I just liked one of his posts, and we started chatting. And then we talked for about a year or so, and I was like, yeah, we'll pass for right now. I had the pretty stable job at the time. And then about a year ago, I was like, you know what, Eric, let's do it. I want to work with your team. You guys are really cool. And so I started last June, and since then I've kind of just been working on internal projects and been getting stuff done. And then so last winter I was like, all right, guys, I'm about too many projects are on my plate right now. I need somebody else on my team. So and then I met Chad in one of our classes in 2 falls ago or so. Something like that, and then and then I'll let you take it away for when I met you.
Yeah. So Wyat nailed it. We met in class. We're getting the same degree, and so we had done some group projects together. We knew that we synergized and worked well together, and we had become friends outside of the classroom. And so when Waggoner was looking to grow the team, he looked at me and he was like, "Do you want to be a part of this?" And for me, it was a home run. We had done a hackathon together. We had done group projects together, and I saw this new opportunity. So when Waggoner was ready to grow, I was right there.
Fantastic. Now, so what exactly do you contribute, or what was your degree in, and how did that blend, this engineer, tech information with financial planning?
Yeah, for sure. So we're both in computer science right now at MSU, and we both graduate in the fall. But with me, I've just been doing side projects since I've started college, and I've done a couple finance projects too. And so I've known how to start projects from the ground up, and that's exactly what Waggoner needed. They didn't really have anything at the time, so I had to scale and architect all the projects that we need. So from the database, from security to the front-facing client-side applications, everything from the ground up there. I've just been working on internal systems, and then now, actually, Chad and I, we worked on a mobile app for our hackathon that we did, and we're trying to get into the mobile space right now. And so that's why I said, yeah, we need Chad, because I know he's really good with mobile. But yeah, that's kind of how we started and where I'm at right now. And then Chad, you started the mobile application, and that's already going pretty well.
So I think about financial planning from a traditional old guy standpoint. You notice the gray in the beard. I give my money to a firm. They tell me quarterly or semi-annually or annually
Yep.
what my returns have been, and that was about as involved as I can be. But it seems like the world has changed, and certainly Waggoner seems to be kind of part of that leadership change, but kind of making these the programs like more accessible, more able to in real time to kind of follow along. Now I go in on the first of every month, I got a little reminder, and I kind of just screenshot where my portfolio is and just kind of stack them on top so I can kind of play my own role. But what's the deliverable? What are you trying to accomplish for your clients with the work that these two gentlemen are doing?
The deliverable is to guarantee great financial outcomes. We want to focus on the outcomes. We want to make sure our clients have a great experience working with our team. When it comes to every single facet of what we're trying to do here, it's all tied to that financial outcome. Like, hey, we want clients to go into their lives so they can focus on what they want to do. If we can tackle all the finances, we can tackle their the hard parts of their lives when it comes to just Maslow hierarchy of needs,
Right.
the basic needs, finance and stuff like that. They can focus on what's really important to them. So we're trying to guarantee great financial outcomes.
Got it. So it's not really just about user interactions and ease of understanding all that's going on with their portfolio. It's also to drive better outcomes. So it's an
Exactly.
internal tool as much as it is an expression externally to the
100%,
user.
yes.
Okay. Fantastic. All right. I want to pause and say that here at Michigan Reimagined, we tell stories of passionate Michiganders doing great things across the state. Today's podcast sponsor takes the art of positive storytelling to a whole new level. The good people at Good Marketing work with organizations across the state that are having a positive impact on the lives of Michigan residents. They help educate communities on the importance of affordable housing, the impact of wildlife and natural resource management, the availability of workforce development and educational programs. If it lifts people up and makes communities stronger, then they want to help spread the word. If your organization needs some communication for the good work that you do, stop by their website at goodmarketing.com. That's GUD marketing.com. Another nod to the German pronunciations, right? It's even got the umlauts on top of it. Fantastic. All right. So, Shanzer, so you run the research, you track the markets, you help the clients with their planning. So how does tech actually kind of fit into helping you do your job? And how much more, where are you at today, and what do you kind of see the future looking like?
Yeah, as a portfolio manager who analyzes stocks and positions the portfolio with our team to make sure that we are up to date with the most industrial developments or business developments, we're very close to data. We are not only close to historical data, but we need to absorb real-time data and make sure that we're making decisions for our clients. So technology is very much in use over there. Now, I can talk about conventional finances. Conventional finance applications or technology is largely built around structured data. So think about balance sheets, income statements, price
stuff.
data. Exactly, boring stuff. Now, conventional finance applications are built around that, and that's all great. We still need a lot of that. But the new science, the new technology is largely focused on unstructured data. So what I mean by unstructured data is think about social media feeds. Like, hey, these days retail investors are really going into stocks. So there's more financial literacy out there, so people are buying Robinhood stock, SoFi stock, and stuff like that. But social media feeds are driving a lot of that. So we want to also look at unstructured data, like words. We want to really identify, hey, which words are are hitting the stock, which of the stocks are driving returns, which words are driving in relation to one stock driving returns. So that's an example of unstructured data. And then we have other techniques as well, like sentiment analysis on companies' commentaries, like Apple, when they come out and they're like, hey, we have tariffs to navigate. We're a global company. So we want to look at the CEO's commentary and we want to see, hey, how many times was the word tariff mentioned? How many times was the word import, export mentioned? And then we can draw inferences based on that. And when we draw inferences, that makes our analysis not just quick, it makes us also smarter when we're picking our investments and whatnot. So ultimately, that's our goal.
Yeah. I think Shanzer touched really well on what he does. And I think our main goal as the tech team is to make not only him and the rest of the GA team better at what they do, but to give them more time to focus on their specialty. So we kind of talked about those internal tools that we're building. If Shanzer's spending X amount of hours per week flipping between spreadsheets, we can build an app for him to save that time. And we can put everything he needs just all in one place.
Got it. So better data, faster.
Yep.
And
Better
with less
data,
work for you.
faster, and analyzing it in a much smarter way. Because there's a lot of noise, right, Chris? And
Oh,
we want to
absolutely.
avoid the noise when we're picking stocks. We want to focus on the stuff that really drives returns.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually I saw Eric talk quickly about that and said that there's news that drives emotion, but you got to look at the fundamental principles behind the
100%.
news because
Yes.
it can fizzle out. And the standard, the long term or even the near term
Right.
result is going to come from how important the
Exactly.
change is, not so much the news around the
Yes,
change.
yes.
Makes a lot of sense to me. Okay, so I just have to ask. So, like, what tools are you using to create this technology to feed to the advisors to get them that information?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I'm going to get pretty technical here because, I mean, it's
Yeah.
very technical with
is
what we
technical.
do. But so we use some frameworks that are already created by other developers. So, for example, like React is for like displaying things on the page. And then we use Nest.js for a thing on the back end, so calling other APIs. And then we also use some external data providers to like get, okay, what was the stock price at this date? What was the, like the financial sheet on this date? But it's everything we do is built like from us. It's nothing that we're like, okay, let's use Squarespace. No, it's like, we want this a specific way, so we're gonna have to build it ourselves.
Got it. All right. Sounds challenging and not a world that I understand even
Me
a little
neither.
bit.
This goes back to Chris me talking about
Right.
tech and finance people need to work together
Right.
and
Right.
sit in one room. And this is why we sit in one room, because I can explain the finance. But
Right.
as soon as these guys start talking like, some of the tools they mentioned or some of the vendors they use,
Right.
I start to lose it.
Right. Well, I go back to a message that I used a long time ago throughout different careers. Don't give me what I ask for, give me what I need.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't know how to ask for what I want. Here's the goal I'm trying to accomplish, and just give me what I need. So, I was prepping for the show, and the word tokenizing data points, kind of that phrase, kind of came up. What does that mean, and why is that important in leveraging your tech projects?
Yeah, of course. So exactly like what Shanzer said earlier of the like unsorted, uncategorized data, we need to be able to tell exactly, like let's say we have a call, like an earnings call. What does that earnings call actually mean to an AI or a computer? And that's when tokenization comes in. So basically you split everything out into its own chunks, so words or phrases, and then you can put that into a database and basically have a relation between two different things. So if we mean, let's say we say tariff, that could mean good for a company if they're like in the United States, or it could be bad for a company if they import all of their stuff into the United States. And so we want to make it so an AI or ourselves can just categorize all of our data into one quick way to view it, basically. And let's say make charts out of it, make a quick analysis out of it, or just have like a chat bot saying, hey, summarize what happened with this Apple earning call. And we do that through tokenization.
Got it, right. Because publicly traded companies have quarterly earnings calls that are open to the public.
Yep.
So in a prior career, I sat in on a bunch of those for big Michigan-based companies.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to hear that, because the first half or 3/4 is scripted narrative from usually CEO and CFO talking about all the deliverables and all that stuff. Then they get to Q&A from financial folks like you who pin them down to, hey, unpack this phrase that you said in your scripted thing, and what does that actually mean? And
we give them the hard time.
Right,
Like
exactly.
we're trying to really understand, because we're trying to model, right? So we
Right.
need to get all the answers out. And this is where
Right.
tech comes into play. Tokenization and words, they can uncover some of the story. As analysts, we want to
Right.
uncover we want to get the questions in. Like we want to give them a hard time. Hey, what happened with growth over here? What happened with profits over there? This quarter wasn't that good. What happened?
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera.
You glossed over headwinds on this one division that you're,
Yeah.
but we'd like to hear more about that.
Exactly.
When is that going to stabilize? And so this tokenizing is capturing that. It's more or less kind of AIing the transcript of this narrative
To a sense,
capture the.
yeah, and we can also do it on like the financials as well. So let's say we get the company's financials for last quarter, and we use our analysis tools to do that. So we can say, okay, they were having a lot of revenue this quarter, so we can predict the next revenue. Let's say the next quarter they will have more revenue based on their previous 3 quarters since they've been growing so much. So it's not just like words, but it's also numbers as well that can be used a lot with both our internal analysis and then possibly external as well. Let's say somebody that we work with wants to understand, okay, why does Apple keep growing at this rate? Well, because of our tools, we can say, oh, it's because X, Y, and Z based on our internal tokenization and the use of our platforms.
Got it. And it sounds like you've got this part of your world reasonably stabilized, right? That the tokenizing of this data is something that's already deployed. What are some things you're working on now? Like, kind of the whole metaphor of skating where the puck is headed. Where is the puck headed, and what are you working on now that you aren't done yet?
Yeah. So as Shanzer said, our goal is to make it so that everything is really accessible and easy to use. While like right now, some of the platforms that you can buy, it's like, okay, I got to go to this page to see this page to see this other page to see this. We have, 7 or 8 internal projects that we have almost complete right now, and we want some way to view all of them together. So we want to see, excuse me, sorry.
That's fine.
We want to see like, okay, let's say Apple is in a portfolio. What percentage is that? How much has it changed for the past 3 weeks? And what are some like book reports or analysis or anything that we can see on Apple? Or like we have the internal tool called the CFA, which shows all the cash flows and like the balance sheet, or we have a thing called Volcano, which shows the volatility of the stock. And we can just view that from one platform, and that's called our ARI system. And then Chad has also been working on more of our advising side to talk about, sorry. Go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, he nailed it. We're not just working with the GA team and the investments that we do. We're also trying to build internal tools that make the advisors better at what they do. So, for example, Wyat mentioned Cobra. That's our current big project, which is a way to kind of digitalize one of their in-house curated processes, which was managing these relationships with people. They had these physical index cards in the office, and when there's someone on our team as talented as Jordan, for example, I think when we imported his cards, he had 50, 60, something like that. So you can imagine that could get cluttered, and as our team grows,
right,
that might spiral out of control. So what we did is we just digitalized it and made an application that they can use and view all in one place. So whether they need to do follow-ups or notes or whatever it might be, it can just all be in one place. And that's another way we're trying to make them better at what they do.
And humans can only maintain a number of relationships, right?
Right.
And that's the challenge we're trying to address with Cobra, as Chad mentioned. We want to make sure that our advisors and our people at our firm, when they have so many relationships, we develop a system so they can keep up with those relationships. They can make sure that clients are engaged with our team and make sure that we target, again, those financial outcomes that are going to make them happy and confident as they go into their lives.
Right on. Okay. Well, I want to share that this episode is brought to you by the Michigan Rise Pre-Seed Fund, providing early stage funding for Michigan-based startups. Since 2020, Michigan Rise has helped high-tech, high-growth startup companies achieve commercial and technical milestones through capital formation strategies, talent development, and customer acquisition tactics. With financing options for every stage of the entrepreneurial journey, Michigan Rise significantly increases the impact of new ideas and research. Visit www.michiganrise.com to discover how Michigan Rise can help fuel your startup's growth. Michigan Rise is supported by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation and Michigan State's University Research Foundation. So you're building all this stuff. That sounds more like internal use. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, for the most part.
And how does that, what's the outcome of that? Is there any external uses for some of the stuff that you're working on for, say, clients to use?
Yeah, of course. There can be definitely many ways to externally use what we have so far. And the goal of everything is to consolidate all of our research, all of our analysis into one location. So let's say somebody's working with our team and they want to see the book reports that we have for the reason that we chose a stock. We have that now with our current projects, and we're eventually going to be opening that up to have the people that we work with to use, possibly other financial advisors to work with us, and just a bunch of different ways that people can interact with our team electronically versus having to come into the office or call us up. They can just go into our website and then look at their portfolio, what things have changed. So let's say they have one stock that's up, one stock that's down. Okay, why is that stock down? It shows exactly why that stock is down on our own platform there. So we want to have more of a relationship between computers, advisors, and clients, and the people that we work with, so that the people that we work with know exactly why we're doing what we're doing, and the advisors know more of what we're doing, so that like we can all have a big relationship with each other.
Huh. So I could go in and take a look at stocks and see what's up, what's down, or maybe you put money of mine into a new company that I'm not familiar with. I would be able to click through somehow and be able to read, your analysis of why this
Right.
this is
That's what we're working
doing
towards,
well.
yep.
Okay.
The key term is tight integration over there. Like we're trying to,
Okay.
we do finance in a way where every single function of our firm, and this is why our team is very transparent. We like to keep people in one room and have them talk to each other cross-functionally. Often with big corporations, they lose that as
Yeah,
they
sure.
separate into functions. We like to keep a tight niche integration. And we like to do that because, like you said, as a client, we bought a stock, et cetera. You were probably intrigued, like, hey, why did they buy this position? So we want to, externally speaking, we want to try to build applications. Now we're really advanced in the internal front, but we're trying to excel on the external front where we want to have a client portal where our clients can access our research. And without even asking me, they can be like, okay, this is where Shanzer on this date updated this stock. He wanted to buy this for this reason. Or our team bought this for this reason. And okay, I found their reasoning interesting. They could look up the headwinds or the tailwinds associated with that position. How much, what's the price target on that position? Okay, is this position only in one of our models or is it in many of our models? How many accounts of mine as a client is this position? At what weight? So those are the type of the questions we want to have available, or those are the type of answers we want to have our clients to have access to. And this is where the external comes in, and we're working on that.
Got it. Okay, nice. So, what's next for fintech? I mean, it seems like you can't possibly keep up with the rate of change in the tech space. So, kind of, what do you envision the future looking like, and how is Waggoner trying to stay up to date and as far into this as you can?
Yeah, sure, Chad. If you want to start off with that, and then I can.
Yeah. Well, obviously you see it in headlines everywhere. It's like AI, these agentic models, these LLMs. How can we work with them? So obviously those are going to enter every facet of it. But I think what's important is using them as tools rather than looking at them as a replacement, right?
Okay.
Because the advisor is always going to be there. So I think one of the big challenges for us is that balancing act, right? The advisor should still be there, and we can use these things to make us more efficient and better at what we do. But it's not a replacement altogether.
Yeah, and just to add on that, artificial intelligence, like there's a question out there, right? Like AI is out here for all. It's out here to get us.
Yep.
And our jobs are going to be replaced. But as an analyst, I look back at history. I look at the internet revolution. I look at the smartphone revolution with BlackBerry and Apple coming in. And it was just like, people were saying the same things then. But at the end of the day, we need to understand that the new revolution, which is artificial intelligence or AI, they can handle very complex workloads, deeply analytical workloads, and repeatable workloads at a much faster rate. But there are a few things that artificial intelligence at this point is not ready for, and that is emotional intelligence, ethical reasoning, and judgment. So I can speak to you about many instances, like a doctor sometimes has to give a health diagnosis that may not be easy to deliver, and a doctor will have to understand what the next person is going to respond in what way they're going to respond. Is it going to be it could be a wide variety of emotional outcomes. So you need to have that reasoning skill. You need to have that empathy to deal with that outcome. And AI is not there yet. So humans are still going to be doing a large part of that role. And in finance, we actually see that a lot ourselves. We have prospects who come into our office and with their financial plans, and they're like, hey, I've been saving this much for my life, and I think I'm ready for retirement. And then we do the analysis and reports. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but
Sure.
It does happen. And we do the analysis and we look at the breakdown, and we're like, listen, you're not going to be able to retire by 55. You're going to have to retire by 58. And sometimes the response is emotional. This is where we need to have empathy, and we need to respond in an ethical and emotional manner, which is suitable for that client, so they can have a positive outcome.
Yep.
So these are some of the challenges that AI faces that humans will face. So I like to think of it as tools that are going to empower us as humans and make us more productive, like the internet did, or as the smartphones did.
Got it. Yeah,
and
good.
something else that we're trying to do is we're trying to have it so that the numerical analysis is kind of taken away from the advisors, and it's more on the emotional analysis. As Shanzer said, we want it to be able to, okay, we're working with this person, and let's say that they want to retire at 55. Well, instead of punching those numbers in myself and trying to figure that out, let's just ask our internal bot or whatever we're using, okay, looks like you can retire at 55 if you say X percent this month. Versus we have to go and do that manually right now.
Right.
But with our systems, you won't have to.
Got it. So I work obviously in a different industry, but I've been told by employers that you got to be really mindful as to which AI tool you use, because kind of that, I don't know if it's intellectual property or the information that you ask and receive is public or can be used by the ownership of that software. So being in a you mentioned the medical industry, and you are in financial planning and insurance and all these different professional services require a certain amount of, whether it's HIPAA or real confidentiality about private matters. How does Waggoner kind of make sure that you're not putting my stuff out on the street, so to speak, right?
It's a great question. We're not using client data right now, and anything in the future, like we would have to disclose that.
Yeah.
But you bring up a good point, especially when you bring up people's health records, but also financial information is some of the most sensitive information that you can have. So we need to be really careful when we start using these tools, what information we're giving it. And is it personal identifiable information or is it just the numbers that we're using, and we're using it to crunch those numbers?
Got it.
And something that's really nice about having your internal tech team is that we don't need to push the information out to the internet. We can just have it on our own internal systems. Like it's not like we need to be calling OpenAI. We can just make the LLM within our own systems. So it's even if some sort of data is there, it's all within our own internal systems without having to touch the internet whatsoever.
Yeah, and Chris, I'll just add there that regulatory framework and compliance framework is also still premature. Like you said in the beginning, like it's moving fast, and the regulatory framework has not kept up with it. So we're actually waiting on next steps too, and this is where Chad mentioned, like, we're not using any client data because we can't, because the regulatory framework is also trying to figure it out. Like, hey, how do we tackle this beast? Because there's a lot of information that can go on here. Elon Musk is often saying that AI is just dangerous and we should avoid it and stuff like that. So like there's a lot of regulation that needs to be done over there, and we're keeping up with the framework, and we will be the first ones to let you know where the developments are going to come from.
Right. So this is a complex topic that we've been unpacking here. What have I missed? Is there any messaging or any things that you're working on that you're excited about, or pitfalls or lessons for listeners to kind of ask their financial planners, whether they're up to date? I don't know. I'm just, as we kind of wrap up this conversation, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything that you really want to get out.
I just think something to note is the data, like you said, that LLMs today are using. It's like Reddit or some Discord messages or whatever. While all the data that we use is all internal and from our best-in-class advisors and analysts. So whatever the information that you get from us will be top of the class. Well, if you have some sort of external LLM or advisor that's using something else, they could be giving you some sort of data that's not even relevant to you whatsoever. While we know exactly your situations because we have real people working with you.
Yeah, we have the people, we have the expertise, right? And these like Wyat mentioned, and I'm just gonna piggyback off on that. Like all these LLMs are training on general data, but we have data that is more sophisticated, more complex, and really, really tied to expertise, years of experience. And we have vets in there like Eric and Kylie who are really, really solid. And we want to really take their data and make sure that what their expertise is, what their advice normally is for clients, without using, again, client data, and train on that type of data and make sure that our LLMs and what we're developing are tied to provide a finished product that's going to guarantee those financial outcomes that I spoke about.
Got it. Excellent. Fascinating information. We could talk for hours about this, but unfortunately time is short. But I want to thank you very much for joining me. We've been speaking with Portfolio Manager Shanzer Khan and software engineers Wyat, Soule, and Chad Hildwein from Waggoner Global Advisors. I really appreciate all the information you shared with us today.
Of course, thank you
so much. Thank you for having us.
And I'd love to give a final shout out to all my loyal sponsors. We've got Good Marketing, Tritera Environmental, Keller Williams Advantage and Team, Michigan Rise, Kirk Byron State Farms, the attorneys at Foster Swift, and Waggoner Financial. All fantastic people who are worth the call. And if you found the show as a one-off, I want to remind you to follow and subscribe to Michigan Reimagined on YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere you find your podcasts. This is Chris Buck signing off from Michigan Reimagined.